Hello to you, my name is Steve and I'm the chaplain at North Warwickshire and South Leicestershire College and the Midland Academies Trust. I've been asked to reflect on some of the things that college staff and students might want prayers for, or what could we do to pray for them, and what could we do to pray for college chaplains and Christians in college as well. So taking staff and students first, this time of year, is when many will be starting to think about finishing their courses. Some will be completing them within the next few weeks, certainly after Easter. And that's part of the cyclical nature of the academic timetable, especially in FE. But increasingly, I'm finding more and more that students are wondering, well, what next? What does that look like? And many, they may have a plan. But I'm finding more and more that there's a sense of anxiety as to what the next steps are and, well, what do I do with my life? How does that look? And I think that's endemic of the inconsistencies that we are finding ourselves in. More and more, we are seeing things are, especially in society, in the world around us, things are less reliable, they're less consistent. And I think there's an anxiety that goes with that, especially with our young people. We talk often about the phrase post-COVID. It's not post-COVID. We're very much still in COVID, but we are having to find a way to work alongside COVID. We've got to try and find a way of having a sense of normality, and there are for many that brings also a sense of tension and again anxiety. So that would also be something that we would want to be praying for. But my mind most turns to those within our learning community, staff and students, who are our most vulnerable. As I record this, yesterday was the spring statement from the Chancellor. And regardless of whatever our take is on that, it highlights the increasingly challenging times that we are living in. And for many in my college community where we serve, that's going to be hitting really hard. And it will do so for the next foreseeable future. That alongside the COVID, the lockdowns and all that kind of thing that's taken place, and what we're seeing, of course, in the world around us, is creating a really challenging circumstance for a good number of our staff and students. So we try to provide for that in a number of ways. We do a lot of food hampers. We try and source and signpost as best we can. And we're actively doing as much as we can with that. But really, our prayers and thoughts are indeed with those who are vulnerable. And we are increasingly trying to find ways to support those where we can. So that would probably be my answer for what could we pray for college staff and students. For those who are chaplains and Christians, for those of us who are chaplains, we are bearers of the cloak. If you're not sure what that means, I invite you to learn more about the legend of the cloak, the story of St. Martin. I promise it's a wonderful story. But we are bearers of the cloak, which means that we share what we have with others. And I think that's a very chaplain-y thing, but I also think it's a very Christian thing. I think it's something that as Christians we are called to do, not least because that's what God did for us. And so as we share our cloak with others, as we walk alongside people, our continuing prayer, especially at this college, is to try and discern what it is that God is doing and join in. And more, I believe that is a restorative mission. It's an act of restoration that is taking place within our corridors. And I believe that's true generally within FE, but I particularly would want to say that is true within our college. And it's something that I would hope would be a move of FE, one of the marking characteristics of further education, that people come and they find a sense of restoration. That which was once broken now is made whole. And I think that is a continuing trend and characteristic of FE, and long may it continue. I think it has the fingerprints of the divine on it. And as Christians, we want to join in with that. We want to bless that. And our question is, therefore, what is it that God is doing and how do we join in? Especially, again, as I say, in these increasingly difficult and inconsistent times that we find ourselves in. But also, I want to pray and think of our leaders in our FE colleges, our governors, our exec teams, who are Christian and who are of faith. And they have a mighty task ahead of them at the moment. And the prayer really for them, from my perspective, would be for wisdom, for a sense of peace, but for wisdom. And may they know the wisdom of God as they make decisions which affect the direction and future of our learning communities. Okay, I think that's about it for now. Thank you very much. See you soon.